One debt payoff strategy can cost you over $1,200 more, even if both methods help you get out of debt faster. Seriously. Most people think they're both equally effective, and a 2023 LendingTree study even suggested they could be equally effective, with differences ranging from $0 to $1,292 across hypothetical debt loads. But dig into the math, like Evan McAllister did in his 2018 thesis, and one method always saves you more money over time. We're talking about the debt snowball versus the debt avalanche. One strategy is championed by figures like Dave Ramsey, focusing on psychological wins. The other focuses strictly on the numbers, minimizing interest paid. The real question is, which one aligns with your financial situation and goals for 2026? Let's break down the actual mechanics, step by step. In 2023, the average American was holding a staggering $104,215 in total debt, according to Experian. And here's a stat that should grab your attention. The Federal Reserve of New York reported that credit card delinquency rates rose to 9.1% last year. If that sounds like a tough financial spot, you're not alone. The reality is, for millions of people, debt feels like a weight that just keeps growing. And that's why this conversation about how to actually get out of debt matters more than ever right now. Today, we're diving deep into two of the most popular debt repayment strategies out there: the debt snowball and the debt avalanche. You've probably heard of them, maybe even tried one. The debt snowball, famously championed by Dave Ramsey, focuses on paying off your smallest debts first. It's all about those quick wins, getting that psychological boost to keep you going. Then there's the debt avalanche method, which goes after the debts with the highest interest rates first, aiming to save you the most money over time. Now, a recent LendingTree study analyzed 4 hypothetical debt loads and concluded that both methods can be equally effective, with the difference in total paid ranging from $0 to just under $1,300 in their most realistic scenario. But here's the thing. While both can work, the data shows one method always saves you more money in the long run. We're going to walk through the math together, look at real-world examples, and uncover what these strategies mean for someone in your situation, so you can decide which approach truly aligns with your financial goals. Let's break it down. One common approach is the debt snowball method, popularized by financial guru Dave Ramsey. This strategy involves tackling your smallest debt balance first, regardless of its interest rate. You'll make minimum payments on all other debts, but throw every extra dollar you have at that smallest one. Once it's paid off, you take the money you were paying on that debt and snowball it onto the next smallest debt. Wells Fargo notes that this method offers a powerful psychological boost through those quick wins. Think about it. Clearing a $500 credit card can feel incredibly motivating, even if you have a larger student loan with a higher interest rate still hanging over you. Articles updated as recently as February 18, 2026, emphasize how this initial success builds momentum. On the flip side, you have the debt avalanche method. This strategy focuses purely on the math. Here, you prioritize paying off the debt with the highest interest rate first, while still making minimum payments on all your other debts. The goal is to minimize the total amount of interest you pay over time. Wells Fargo highlights this method's mathematical efficiency. By targeting the most expensive debt, you save more money in the long run. For example, if you have a credit card with an 18% APR and a personal loan at 8%, the avalanche method says to attack that 18% credit card first. The lesson here is that one strategy leans on human psychology, the other on pure arithmetic. This leads us directly to the academic perspective. Evan McAllister's Empirical Deep Dive. Now, that definition of the snowball method is pretty well known, but we need to dig a little deeper than just a simple definition. When we talk about data-backed financial decisions, one of the most rigorous analyses came from Evan McAllister's Bachelor of Science thesis, A Snowball's Chance. Debt Snowball versus Debt Avalanche, published back in fall 2018. This wasn't just another blog post. McAllister, under the advisement of William Wood, Joanne Doyle, and Philip Heap, embarked on one of the few empirical deep dives into these strategies. His methodology was impressive. McAllister utilized financial data from several thousand households pulled directly from the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finance, or SCF. This isn't theoretical, this is real-world debt from real families across the country. To analyze this mountain of data, he applied a simplified mathematical model, meticulously coded in MATLAB, to compare what would happen if these households used either the Snowball or Avalanche method. For example, if a household in the SCF had, say, a $2,000 credit card debt at 18% APR and a $5,000 car loan at 6% APR, McAllister's model would run both strategies and calculate the precise difference in total interest paid in time to debt freedom. The importance of this study can't be overstated. Most discussions around debt payoff strategies rely on anecdotes or simplified examples, but McAllister's work provided a genuine, data-backed foundation. He gave us empirical evidence, moving beyond what felt good to what actually happened for thousands of real people. The lesson here is that when making financial choices, looking at actual data and rigorous academic analysis can provide crucial insights that simple rules of thumb might miss. Now, with that academic perspective in mind, let's look at how a more recent study from LendingTree interpreted these findings, and whether they truly found both methods to be equally effective. Now, LendingTree weighed in with their own fascinating insights, delivering a perspective that might just shift conventional thinking on debt repayment. A comprehensive study updated on July 17, 2023, authored by senior writer Julie Ryan Evans and meticulously edited by lead editor Dan Shepard, presented a pretty significant and perhaps surprising conclusion. Both the debt avalanche and debt snowball methods can be equally effective for paying off debt. This might sound counterintuitive, especially for those who champion the math-first, interest rate prioritizing approach of the avalanche. However, their rigorous analysis provides crucial context. LendingTree didn't just guess at these outcomes, they meticulously analyzed 4 distinct hypothetical debt loads, ranging from a relatively small total of $5,000 to a more substantial $25,000 across multiple credit cards and loans, to reach this finding. And what they found was that the total amount paid across these detailed hypotheticals only differed by a surprisingly narrow range of $0 to $1,292. That's a remarkably small spread for something that's often presented as a black and white, mathematically superior choice. For instance, in what LendingTree specifically termed their most realistic hypothetical, a $15,000 debt distributed over 3 credit cards with varying interest rates, e.g., 22%, 18%, 15%, the financial difference between the two strategies was, in fact, minimal. This suggests that for many individuals, the theoretical financial advantage of the avalanche method, while mathematically sound, might be less impactful in practice than widely anticipated. The lesson here is that while the undeniable math of compounding interest rates certainly holds true, real-world scenarios, with their inherent complexities and human variables, can sometimes blur those clear theoretical lines. This leads us quite naturally to consider the often overlooked but profoundly powerful human element. The intricate psychology behind sustained debt repayment, motivation, and its tangible real-world impact on achieving financial freedom. The reality is, the chosen method often depends on one's mindset and approach to finances, as acknowledged in an article updated as recently as February 18, 2026. This is where the human element really comes into play, and it's arguably the most critical factor. Dave Ramsey, who popularized the debt snowball, fundamentally understands that motivation is often the biggest hurdle to financial progress. His quick-win strategy for the snowball method is designed to provide that psychological boost, those small successes that keep people engaged when the journey feels long and hard. Think about it. For someone drowning in debt, seeing a small balance disappear entirely can be a powerful motivator. For example, if you have a $500 medical bill, a $2,000 credit card, and a $10,000 student loan, paying off that $500 bill first can feel like a huge victory. That feeling of accomplishment can be just what's needed to stick with the plan, even if mathematically, you might have saved a few more dollars by attacking the higher interest credit card first. With the Federal Reserve of New York reporting credit card delinquency rates rose slightly to 9.1% this year, and Experian stating the average American held $104,215 in debt as of Q3 2023, the need for any effective strategy is clear. For someone struggling to stay consistent, that psychological boost from the snowball might genuinely outweigh the slightly higher interest saved by the avalanche, leading to faster debt-free status overall. The lesson here is, consistency often trumps pure optimization. This brings us to understanding your roadmap to debt freedom. Choosing what works for you. So, what does all this mean for someone in your situation, grappling with debt and trying to figure out the best path forward? The good news is, both the debt snowball and debt avalanche methods are powerful strategies, and they both operate on the same fundamental principle. Make minimum payments on all your debts, then throw any extra money you have at one specific debt. Once that debt is gone, you snowball that freed up payment onto the next debt, as laid out in articles updated as recently as January 13, 2026. The real choice comes down to assessing your financial personality. Are you someone who needs those constant small victories to stay motivated? Do you thrive on ticking items off a list, even if they're smaller? If so, the debt snowball, paying off smaller balances first, could be incredibly effective for you, just as Dave Ramsey suggests for building momentum. But if you're hyper-focused on raw numbers and maximizing efficiency, the debt avalanche, targeting the highest interest rates first, might resonate more. Remember, as the LendingTree study from July 17, 2023, by Julie Ryan Evans and Dan Shepard highlighted, the theoretical difference in total paid between the two methods can be surprisingly small, ranging from just $0 to $1,292 across their hypothetical scenarios. This suggests that consistent action is often more impactful than the specific method itself. Think about your debt profile. If you've got 5 small credit card balances and 1 large student loan, clearing those small cards with a snowball could provide a huge psychological boost. But if you're staring down a single credit card with a 23% interest rate and nothing else, the avalanche method might be the more appealing path to minimizing your long-term cost, tackling that high-interest monster first. The lesson here is that the most critical step, regardless of whether you pick the snowball or the avalanche, is to simply start and stick with a plan. Then you roll that cleared debt's payment amount into the next smallest, or highest interest, debt. The core lesson here isn't about one method definitively winning over the other. What McAllister's 2018 thesis showed, and what the updated 2023 LendingTree study by Julie Ryan Evans and Dan Shepard reinforced, is that while the debt avalanche might offer a slight mathematical edge, potentially saving up to $1,292 in interest in their most realistic hypothetical scenario, the debt snowball's psychological power is undeniable. The real victory comes not from optimizing every single dollar of interest, but from sticking with it. Dave Ramsey understood this when he championed the snowball, that human motivation, the thrill of those early wins, often outweighs the purely mathematical optimization. So, if you've been trying to tackle debt and felt discouraged, what strategy did you use, and what was your experience? Drop your story in the comments below. Sharing your journey helps everyone learn. And if you want to keep breaking down complex financial topics into actionable insights, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If understanding how these strategies play out in the real world clicked for you, then my breakdown of how inflation impacts your debt, updated for 2026, is exactly the next thing to watch.